Hi guys, this is Petra. I recently received a very disturbing newsletter from Wildlife Rescue and Rehabilitation here in Texas, and I felt it was important to share. This isn't an easy topic, but it sheds light on the often hidden realities of the fur and urine industry. What I'm about to read to you details some shocking practices and the impact they have on animals. I want to give you a heads up that some of this content is graphic and may be upsetting. My hope is that by bringing this information to light, we can raise awareness and support more compassionate practices. Dear members, you will see that we have dedicated this entire newsletter to one topic. This is not something we have ever done, but I wanted you to understand just how important this matter is and how deeply all of us at Wildlife Rescue were moved by the plight of the animals you will read about. Please know it is not just the tragic story of these animals, but the equally cruel tale of tens of thousands of others who are held and abused for the despicable trade in their urine and fur. Some of the photos are disturbing, but you know that we never aim to shock. You can imagine those we don't show, but to tell the story and, I hope, to elicit your help. Know that for every photo, the future for that animal will be here at WRR and their lives secure and peaceful. For those of us who have been around a while, we have seen many changes in this world. How we communicate has changed dramatically. The amount of information available, for good or ill, is immense compared to a generation ago. And our buying habits and choices haven't stood still either. Whereas some items used to be difficult to find, they are now readily available with a few clicks on the keyboard. The problem with this is that what one purchases could have very different consequences than we would ever expect or consider. For example, and I realize this isn't on most of your shopping lists, alongside wildlife dragged into the pet trade, there is also a market for their urine, which is in fact a lucrative and cruel business. And as if this weren't enough already, those same facilities also traffic in the sale of animal furs. WRR received a call in January of this year from Humane Society International. There was a situation unfolding in a rural area of Ohio where around 400 animals, all held captive and used for their fur and urine, were in dire need of rescue. The owner of this facility had suddenly died, and his family had called HSUS and HSI for help. The more we learned of the immense suffering the animals were forced to endure, the more apparent it became that WRR would want to help. Fortunately, other organizations were also offering assistance, the goal being to remove every animal there and take them into the care of sanctuaries and rehabilitation organizations. I won't be overly explicit about what these animals had gone through, but it is important that this horrible, despicable practice be described and exposed for what it is, and how it is supported by an unwitting public. According to HSUS and HSI staff on the scene, foxes, raccoons, wolf-dog hybrids, skunks, opossums, and coyotes reportedly were found living in filthy wire-bottom cages that offered little protection from the elements. Several animals were in poor health from lack of food and water. Some were found dead on the property and were covered in snow. Several animals were missing limbs. Steel jaw leg hole traps were found on the property and likely were the cause of the animals' lost limbs. Responders at the property found a coyote slowly dying after he was caught in a leg hold trap, which was never removed. It is important to understand that these facilities exist solely to make money from the sale of animal urine and fur. The animals are confined in small wire caging, so their urine can be collected underneath the wire bottom, and so their fur is not soiled by dirt or natural terrain. I will not go into the details of the methods used to kill animals who are exploited for their fur. These animals never know a moment of comfort or peace. Their lives are a day-to-day painful, deprived experience. And all this so that people can go online and purchase urine to spray on their plants to deter deer, or to distribute in areas where armadillos or gophers are digging, or where a raccoon mother is trying to use an attic to give birth to her young. There are countless ways to deter animals from these areas that do not involve the profound cruelty of collecting urine from wildlife. WRR wanted to help in whatever capacity we could, which would mean taking in some of these horribly abused animals. WRR staff met and we devised a plan for helping those we could, without compromising the care and rescue of those we are already committed to helping. On Saturday, February 8th, the animals began arriving at our sanctuary. We had agreed to accept 6 foxes, 15 skunks, and 6 coyotes. Their first few days would be spent in small areas where we could conduct medical checks on each and see where they were best suited to live. The foxes and skunks were the first to arrive. They were understandably shy, frightened, and curious. In very little time their world had dramatically changed from existing in filth, extreme distress, and hunger, to where they were now. But how could they be sure that this was a change for the good and not the end of their very lives? They certainly had no reason to trust us or anyone. And now they were surrounded by new sounds and the sense of other animals in the air. But one thing was missing. There was no longer the scent of fear. Their acute senses must have perceived that this was a different world. Absent were all the wire cages. The donkeys who ambled past were calm. There was bird song drifting down from the surrounding trees. Nature surrounded them as they tentatively emerged from their carriers. Their new surroundings were not what they were used to. Here there was earth and grass. There was clean water and fresh food waiting in clean bowls. Perhaps they simply wondered where they were now. There was no denying that everything had changed. Knowing the depth of dignity and grace that exists in the soul of every animal, perhaps they just relaxed and trusted that all was somehow well. In only a matter of days, each of these animals was to realize our plan for them. They were long overdue to being restored to a more natural way of life, which is their future here at Wildlife Rescue. When these foxes and skunks were released into the wooded enclosures, after slowly emerging from the carrier, they wasted no time in getting reacquainted with Mother Nature. If they ever dreamt of woods and sunshine, that dream was now a reality. If they had just endured their years of cruel confinement, they could now put it behind them, forever. Whatever their reactions and thoughts, these once tortured animals now have a life free from suffering, fear, and starvation. Their years of exploitation are over. They can relax now. Finally, they have escaped the cold, uncaring grasp of commerce. The rescue and protection of animals who have been harmed, abused, displaced, exploited, or orphaned is the very reason Wildlife Rescue and Rehabilitation exists. I founded it to help those we can help, no matter their species. This is what your donations make possible and available for every animal in our care, every day of the year. As you look at the photos in this newsletter, as you go to our website and see where these animals have come from, then surely you will be pleased and proud that you could make their new life at WRR possible. I can assure you that without your support, this rescue would never have taken place. Thank you for supporting this and all our efforts to save the lives of animals. Lynn. Fur and urine industry, still legal in most states. Right now, fur farming remains legal in 49 states, with California being the only state to ban new fur sales. While a handful of cities have restrictions, most of the country still allows this heartless industry to operate unchecked. Predator urine farming is even less regulated. While some states ban deer urine products to prevent disease spread, there are no federal or state laws protecting foxes, coyotes, or bobcats from being kept and exploited for their urine. The recent Ohio rescue is proof. These hideous facilities still exist, and without stronger laws, animals will continue to suffer. The reality inside fur and urine farms. Inside the fur and urine industry, wild animals endure a lifetime of confinement, deprivation, and suffering. Foxes, coyotes, and bobcats, animals meant to roam vast landscapes, are trapped in barren wire-bottom cages, where they can barely move. In urine farms, their confinement is deliberately designed for easy collection of their waste, forcing them to live in their own filth. They have no escape from extreme weather and are never given any medical care. Many animals circle endlessly, chew at their own limbs, or develop open wounds from the stress of constant contact with their metal prison. With no regard for their well-being, they are kept alive only as long as they are useful, then discarded through brutal and the cheapest killing methods. These animals are never seen as sentient beings, only as profit. The brutal reality of fur farming kill methods. For fur farmers, efficiency outweighs all ethics. Animals are killed in ways that preserve their pelts, no matter how painful. Many are electrocuted using a metal rod inserted into the mouth or anus, causing paralyzing pain until their hearts stop. Others are gassed, left to suffocate in chambers filled with carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide. Every fur coat, trim, or accessory comes at an unimaginable cost, one paid out every day in the suffering of innocent animals. Animals exploited in the fur and urine industry. Foxes are among the most commonly farmed species, raised for both their pelts and urine. Some are selectively bred for unusual fur colors, which weakens their immune systems and causes genetic abnormalities. Their urine is bottled and sold for hunting lures and trapping bait, prolonging the cycle of suffering. Coyotes are primarily trapped in the wild for their fur, with their pelts commonly used in coat trims, gloves, and boots. Millions are killed each year for so-called fashion, suffering slow and painful deaths in steel jaw traps before being skinned. Their urine is collected and sold as a commercial repellent and hunting lure. Skunks are kept in cramped, filthy cages so their urine can easily be collected and marketed as scent-marking products sold to hunters and trappers. Some skunks are also bred and sold into the wild animal pet trade, where they undergo painful descenting procedures that remove their musk glands, often leading to infections, chronic health issues, and premature death. While pigs are not farmed for fur or urine, they are often found in unregulated and neglected operations, used for waste control or meat production. While not part of the Ohio Rescue, mink, chinchillas, and raccoon dogs are among the most exploited animals in the fur trade. Mink, who are semi-aquatic by nature, are kept in tiny wire cages with no access to water other than drinking water, in constant distress that leads to self-mutilation. Chinchillas, known for their soft fur, are often killed by neck breaking or gassing, and raccoon dogs are kept in conditions just as brutal as foxes before being electrocuted or skinned. Let's put a stop to the wildlife fur and urine farming industry. The animals WRR took in from the Ohio Fur and Urine Farm are among the few who managed to escape a system built on misery. But their story is not unique. Across the U.S. and the world, millions of wild animals are still trapped and ground under the heel of this industry of blatant cruelty and abuse, bred, caged, and killed for profit. Their fur becomes fashion in a multi-million-dollar world of greed, without a hint of compassion. Their lives are seen as nothing more than a commodity. Fur and urine farming persist because demand keeps them profitable, but that also means they can be stopped. By making informed choices and advocating for stronger protections, we can help bring an end to these cruel industries. The following are suggestions for how you can be part of the solution. Always check materials and avoid anything labeled as real fur or genuine fur. Fur hides in everyday items. It's not just coats. Fur is often used in gloves, boots, hats, keychains, pet toys, and even home decor. Some brands mislabel real fur as faux, so always check materials and avoid anything labeled as real fur or genuine fur. Predator urine fuels animal exploitation. To combat this, choose humane alternatives like motion-activated deterrents, scent-free repellents, or plant-based solutions. Many garden repellents, hunting lures, and trapping baits contain urine from coyotes, foxes, and bobcats, animals kept in cramped cages solely for their waste. Retailers such as Amazon, Home Depot, Walmart, and specialized suppliers like Wildlife Research Center and Garden Talk sell these products, perpetuating the cycle of cruelty. Choose humane alternatives. Hold companies accountable. Contact fashion brands, outdoor retailers, and garden suppliers to demand an end to fur and predator urine sales. Consumer pressure works. Many brands have already gone fur-free because of it. Push for fur farm bans. Some states have already banned fur farming, but most still allow it. Call or email your representatives and urge them to support nationwide bans. Animal rights organizations provide legislative updates, petitions, and action alerts that make it easy to stay informed and get involved. A few minutes of your time can help push for critical legal protections, end outdated practices, and hold industries accountable. To participate, consider engaging with the organizations listed here. Your support of organizations like WRR makes all the difference in the lives of rescued animals. Your donations make our efforts possible. Thank you for your donations to help WRR care for these rescued animals. Scan this QR code to donate on our website. Help WRR care for animals rescued from the Ohio farm. Your support of organizations like WRR makes all the difference in the lives of rescued animals. For the cover photo, Rescued Fox at WRR, copyright goes to J. Kazan or Kazan. So here's a coyote found in devastating conditions at the Ohio Fur and Urine Farm. And here is a skunk found in those conditions as well at the Fur and Urine Farm. Here's a photo of a cramped and caged fox before rescue. Now here's the same fox recovering at WRR. And here the skunk rescued from the filthy cage is now cared for and explores the grounds at WRR. Here is a coyote caged at the Ohio Fur and Urine Farm before rescue and new life at WRR. Here's a photo of a rescued skunk on the way to WRR. Here's an image of foxes in outside cages at the Ohio Fur and Urine Farm. Here's a photo of a fox rescued from the Ohio Fur and Urine Farm, now cared for and recovering at WRR. Here are before and after photos of a coyote captive at the Ohio Fur and Urine Farm, and after, the coyote is now rescued and cared for at WRR, and a skunk captive at the Ohio Fur and Urine Farm, and then the skunk rescued and cared for at WRR.